Yes, the title is correct. In this video, I will show you how to properly use the buses, and some secrets along the way. If you are a Varsovian, then you probably know some of these, but not all of them. These are the ones I can get off the top of my head, so there are probably more facts I've missed. If that's the case, I'll make another part. But for now... So, you've seen the bus lines in Warsaw, right? Like the 175, 245, 356, etc, etc. The first digit of the bus line tells you exactly what type of bus it is. Lines that begin with the digit 1 or 2 are normal buses. They run every day, during the day, and stop at every bus stop, unless the bus stop is on request. There is an exception, line 100. It only runs during the weekends and from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's more of a tourist bus with a historic bus fleet. Also, line numbers that begin with the digit 2 are way more likely to have short 10 to 12 meter buses only. I said more likely because there are some that have articulated buses. These are the ones that do have articulated buses, but there could be more. If the line begins with the digit 3, it means it's a normal bus line just like in the previous section, but it's a periodic bus, so it only runs during the weekdays. Now, some periodic lines run all day, but most of them run from the morning and afternoon rush, so from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., then from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Oh, and some of these buses don't run during school holidays. If the line number begins with the digit 4 or 5, then it's a fast bus line that stops at major bus stops only. Saw those quotes that I did? Yeah, most of these bus stops are not major. But anyways, if the line number begins with a 4, it's a fast bus line and it's periodic. For the 401 and 402, it runs every day except weekends. For the 411 and 414, it runs every day except weekends, and only during rush hour. But for some reason, the 409 runs during weekends only. Weird. Anyways, now the zonal buses. The line numbers that begin with the digits 7 or 8 run between Zone 1 and Zone 2. By the way, if you don't know already, Zone 1 is Warsaw and some other towns including Marki, Ząbki, the small part of Sulejówek, Konstancin Jeziorna, Łomianki, Truskaw, Izabelin, Laski, and that's it. Zone 2 is the rest. So, the point of zonal buses is to bring passengers from the towns around Warsaw to either a metro station or tram loop or both. The 700 bus lines run every day from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. with some lines running even longer, like the 738 line that runs from 3 a.m. to 12 a.m. The 800 bus lines run only during the weekdays and during rush hour. Except the 800 line that runs during the weekends only with an irregular frequency. Why, Warsaw? Why? And the final, not really important bus lines. Line numbers that begin with the digit 9 are special bus lines and run after important events like sports or concerts or something like that. Except the 900 line. That's not important unless you're a single mother. The E1 and E2 are express buses and are very similar to the 400 buses, but these ones are even faster. The Z buses are replacement lines. The L buses are used for transport between towns and villages that don't go to Warsaw, except these ones. These buses look very different compared to all the other buses I mentioned, having their iconic blue coloring. The tickets for the L buses are very different. The minute tickets aren't valid, but you can buy a one-time ticket from the driver. The N buses are night buses, and they all terminate at either the central station or at the center bus station, except the NO and N5 buses. If after the N is a 1 or 6, then it goes to northeast Warsaw. If after the N is a 2 or 7, then it goes to southeast Warsaw. If after the N is a 3 or 8, then it goes to southwest Warsaw. And if after the N is a 4 or 9, then it goes to northwest Warsaw. The plan of making most night bus lines terminate at the central station is pretty smart. It allows passengers to transfer really easily, but there is a side effect. For some reason, they made all the bus lines at the central station depart at the exact same time. So now, when you go to a bus stop, you will either see a shelter like this or a sign like this. The top says the name of the bus stop, and the two numbers on the right is the bus stop number, which you can see on your traveling app to make sure you are at the right bus stop. On the left and right, it shows which lines stop here, and a little purple or white when it's a night bus rectangle under or above a line number. The rectangle can sometimes have the text na żądanie, which means on request. If the bus line you want to get on has that text under or above the line number, then you have to wave your hand when the bus comes, or else the bus will just pass you. If the text isn't na żądanie, you don't have to wave your hand. But sometimes a person will just wave their hand anyway for no apparent reason. Sometimes the text can be okresowy, which means periodic, or sometimes the text can be both of them, so okresowy and na żądanie. If the color of the line number is red, it means it's a fast bus, like the 512. If it's green, it means it's a zonal or local bus. If it's white and the background is some shade of dark blue, then that's a night bus. For the timetables, you have to look at the middle part of the sign, or if you're at the bus stop that has a shelter, then the timetables are inside the shelter, either on the left or right. Oh, and one more thing. In the shelter bus stops, sometimes there's this weird pillar or sign. This is where the private bus companies sometimes keep their timetables. But before you read them, check the date of the timetable. Now, when the bus arrives, you have to press this button next to the doors, and do not press that accessibility button unless you do need help getting on. The accessibility button will call the driver. If you don't have a ticket and need to buy one, enter through the second doors from the front, because that's where the ticket machine is located. The ticket machine doesn't work with cash, so if you only have cash, you'll have to find a ticket machine somewhere outside. Sorry. Pick a language. I'm gonna pick English so you understand. Select the ticket you want to buy, then buy it. By the way, the only tickets you can buy is either a Zone 1 or Zone 1 plus 2. You can't buy a Zone 2 only ticket. The ticket will be printed in this pocket, already validated, so don't try to put it in the validator. I've seen so many people try this, like, bro, the ticket says do not validate. If you will need to go to a metro gate with this ticket, you will have to scan the ticket with a QR code gate. Now, if you already bought a ticket and need to validate it, find a ticket validator and put your ticket in there facing up. Do not be too gentle or else it will not take your ticket. To check if the ticket is validated, check the back of the ticket and you'll see some text with the times the ticket will expire. Find the closest available seat to the doors and sit down. If you can't find a place to sit, then stand. But that won't be a problem for me. Look at this empty bus. I recorded this at 3 p.m. Do not stand where there is yellow paint on the floor, such as too close to the doors or next to the driver. When you're on the bus, you will hear bus announcements from Tomasz Knapik.
Następny przystanek Mokry Łuk, Leśniczówka. Przystanek na żądanie.
And in newer bus stops, his son Maciej Knapik.
PKP Targówek.
If you hear
Przystanek na żądanie.
after the bus stop you want to get off of, that's a stop that's on request, so you have to press the stop button or else the driver will pass the bus stop. When the bus stops at the bus stop, you have to press another button next to the doors to open them. Also, inside the bus, there's an electronic screen showing the next stops and if they're on request or not. If it's a normal bus stop, then there will be a purple circle inside the larger white circle. If it's on request, then there won't be a purple circle. The language on the screen changes regularly from Polish to English, then English to Polish. But older buses that don't have electronic screens have plastic boards showing all the stops. These plastic boards are static compared to the dynamic electronic screens. These don't show the exact way you're going, but you can see the direction in the old LED screens inside. Horrifying fact for tourists, or actually everyone. When a road is closed and the bus has to take a different route, it will show something like this. And when this happens, the bus announcements do not work. So you're stranded. I'm joking. You just have to check this website and see what's up. You can also ask the driver, but if you don't speak Polish, then he won't understand you. Fun fact, behind the driver's seat there's sometimes a USB charger, and if the bus is articulated, there will be another one in the back part. When you're getting on a bus at its first stop, it's unlikely to be the first. Most of the time, there's another bus stop with the same name that's a bit further away from the place of interest, where the bus actually starts, which is located at or near a bus loop. You can enter the buses from this place by pressing the door button. A bus stays there for around 10 to 30 minutes. You can see exactly how long the bus will stay there by looking at the displays inside or by looking at the front screen. There are always less people at the bus loop stop. A good example is Metro Trocka and Metro Mocine. But before you get into a bus at a bus loop, make sure it's the correct one. The bus that's closest to departure is always at the front of the bus loop. But don't get this too twisted. Sometimes the bus that's on the bus loop isn't the one that will depart first. This happens to bus lines that have shorter and longer routes. A good example is the 170. Sometimes it starts at PKP Zacisze Wilno and sometimes it starts at Elsnerów. So, if you want to get on the 170 at PKP Zacisze Wilno, the bus waiting at the bus loop might not be the first bus to depart. It could be a bus that started earlier at Elsnerów. When in doubt, check the timetables at the bus loop stop. This will be a quick one. If you see something like this, 2 bus stops with the same name, please get off at the first bus stop, because the second bus stop is likely further away from the place you want to go, and you'll definitely have to wait for traffic lights. This rule doesn't only apply to buses. You can see this in trams such as in Rondo Starzyńskiego and Metro Mociny. There are 4 bus depots in Warsaw. Woronicza, located in Mokotów next to a tram depot. Ostrobramska, located in Praga Południe, the largest bus depot in Warsaw. Stalowa, located in Praga Północ. And Kleszczowa, located in Włochy. There is another bus depot that is closed, for now or forever, Redutowa, located in Wola. If it was open, it would be the biggest, but it's not. It's currently used to store old buses. Wait, I forgot about all the other depots. The ones I showed were the MZA depots, Miejskie Zakłady Autobusowe. But there are more depots owned by private companies. Mobilis has a whopping 1 depot, Posag Siedmiu Panień in Ursus. PKS Grodzisk Mazowiecki has 1, called Klementowicka, in Targówek. And Arriva, Relobus, has 2, one called Estrady, which is technically not located in Warsaw, but in the village of Cloudyn, and another one in Białowęka. Wait, did I just forget about Łomianki? So, there's this bus company, Komunikacja Miejska Łomianki. They had a bus depot in Łomianki and ran several bus lines from Łomianki to Warsaw, and everything was fine. Until 2014, more specifically September 1st, 2014. This is the day where Komunikacja Miejska Łomianki made a deal with ZTM and made all their buses up to Warsaw bus code by giving the buses the Warsaw coloring scheme and replacing the weird line numbers, seriously what the hell, into sensible Warsaw bus line numbers. There are some other bus depots for local buses which we won't talk about. Every bus line has its own bus depot where it gets its buses from. The buses that run on bus lines are called Brigades. Every bus line has different amounts of these, depending on how long the bus line is and how frequent it is. Some bus lines have 1 bus for the very unpopular or very short lines, while more popular buses can have 13, like the 190 line. Since the 190 bus line is very popular, it gets its 13 buses from 2 bus depots, Stalowa and Kleszczowa. The number of buses on one bus line changes during rush hour, weekdays, and weekends. This is how to properly format it. You can also put the frequency of the bus lines during rush hour, weekdays, and weekends. You can also put how long it takes from the bus to get to the same point twice, so like a full loop. Here are the results for some other bus lines. Well, that's all the secrets I could think of. When I find more, and I'll definitely find more, I'll make a part 2, then maybe a part 3, and then thank you guys for watching this video,